Wine and Crime contains graphic and explicit content which may not be suitable for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Starting now, you are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where three friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
Yeah.
And Amanda's mad at me because I made a Celine Dion joke.
It's okay. We're going to let it go.
Okay.
There's a lot going on today. We just got bad news.
Yeah. We don't need to get into it. But
Sweet lady.
I'm Kenyan, and I remembered. I'm Kenyan. Yeah.
I'm Lucy.
I'm Amanda, and I tweezed 3 completely white, like shock white eyebrow hairs today. 3.
But those are the thick ones. They feel
Yeah.
real good coming
They're
out.
wiry.
So, like, what does this mean? Are
I-
all of my eyebrows going to go white eventually?
It
Your
means you've
eyebrows are
been
gonna be
blessed
salt and
with
pepper.
the thick ones.
Yeah. I've started to get some white eyebrow hairs too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to dye my fucking eyebrows?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. My mom
Tint.
dyes her eyebrows,
Yep.
which I can say here because my mom doesn't listen.
Yeah.
And every time she does dye them, she looks real mad for like 2 months.
Yeah.
It's Mr. Potato Head. Where are my angry eyes?
Kind of, yeah.
Oh, no. Okay, well, Justin, if you're listening,
Start prepping the dye.
start prepping the dye for my brows pretty soon because that was, devastating. That's all.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
As we are getting older as a podcast, I'm also aging
Yeah.
as
so
a person.
speaking of, this is our 300th regular episode. 300.
Disgusting.
It's foul. Why do you people like this?
I remember when we first were about to launch and everybody was like, well, is there really aren't you going to run out of topics or like whatever? And I was like, no, we made a spreadsheet with topic ideas and there were like 300 things on it.
Honey,
So,
it was not a spreadsheet. It was an email document.
yeah.
yeah. It was Kelly Rowland's text
Kenyan.
message.
Oh, yeah. Kelly
That was
Rowland.
amazing.
And Excel.
An Excel file on like a sidekick.
Yeah. Yeah. But I remember being like, we've got 300 episode topic ideas. So, like, we'll be set for a while.
Life.
And then y'all showed up in our Patreon and got real fucking weird.
Real creative and real niche.
Real niche.
And for this very special episode, we have a very, very special fan pick. So we went to you listeners. I don't know. Did we go on Patreon or social media or both?
It was
I think
just Patreon, yeah.
All right. We went to our Patreon and we asked all of y'all for ideas for episode 300, what topic we should do. And
Which was a mistake because we should have determined whether there was a comment shut off toggle.
Oh.
we got a lot of comments.
We love your enthusiasm. I don't think it was a mistake.
Thousands.
Now we
No,
have some
but,
great
like,
ideas for the future.
Well past the cutoff is all I'm
Right.
saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well past.
So our favorite, because we didn't go by like whichever got the most votes or whatever. We went with our favorite.
yeah.
And so
This
our
is not a democracy, y'all.
no.
No.
This is a tri-tatorship.
No.
Try tater tot chip.
Mhm. So we went with Unholy Trinity. Basically, like
Doing something unholy. No, TikTok.
I get it. I mean,
you get it.
just from the song.
Yeah.
I had to.
Daddy's
It's a
hot at the
Mommy,
body
no,
shop.
no, daddy's
Don't tell
getting hot
mommy that.
at the body shop. Doing something unholy. Kenyon
thing.
is gonna kill us. Okay.
I was so addicted to TikTok for like 6 weeks that I had to I had to quit
Delete
cold
the
turkey.
app.
I literally did. I was like way too into it.
I'm
Okay.
about to have a baby. I need to stop looking at TikTok.
Yeah. So I'm out of it. Okay. So Unholy Trinity, basically, like, I interpreted it as like shit that 3 criminals got up to together. Right?
I did like a hybrid of like an evil throuple meets some like pseudo religious ritualistic.
Oh, so you hit
shit.
both parts of
Yeah.
Holy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. This is me tweaking my own nips.
Okay.
She's a dark one, y'all.
Yeah. Oh, same.
The nip?
Oh, well,
Both.
my nips are dark, but my case is also dark.
She's a dark one, y'all.
Honestly, without hormones, babies could find these nips. Like, babies, new baby that can't see shit is gonna find these nips.
I forgot that's why nipples turn dark.
Yeah.
So babies.
They can't see shit when they first come
Yeah.
out.
Okay. So I want to thank the person who first suggested Unholy Trinity on our Patreon. And their handle is simply Satan's Mom.
Satan's
Satan's
butthole.
mom has got it going
Going
on.
on. I love it.
So thank you, Satan's Mom. And then listener Carla Armenta also suggested Trinity or Trio Crime. So I feel like that's in the same vein. So thanks, Satan's Mom and Carla.
Oh, Carla.
And Amanda, what is our wine crime pairing for Unholy Trinity?
I mean, this should be obvious, but duh, the Gals wine for our 300th episode, and it has the 3 of us on it, and I'm choosing the rosé today, which you can buy on its own or part of an Unholy Trinity 3-pack.
Yes, the 3-pack
Ooh, yeah.
of wine.
And you can access that through our website, wineandcrimepodcast.com. We have a nice wine tab that will take you right to our wines. I personally love rosé. It's always the season for rosé. Rosé all day and night. And this one in particular is 75% Grenache and 25% Cinsault, which is like, holy
so
shit.
good.
It's so good.
Cinsault? How do
Yeah.
you spell that?
Cinsault.
Oh, okay.
It's
Cinsault.
so fucking good. And I'll just read you a little blurb from the back of our very beautiful bottle.
do.
I'm so obsessed with these. And like, shout out to Danielle, our artist, who does our label art and a bunch of art for our website. She's incredible and we love her.
Danielle Sylvan,
Danielle
by
Sylvan.
the way.
This says, this summer rosé, but again, is great all year, is guaranteed to keep you cool with strawberry, watermelon, and berry tea flavors balanced by delectable minerality and a hint of acidity. You'll be popping bottles left and right. I'm obsessed. This is a 2020 bottle and 13% ABV. Just hit myself in the face with this little beauty. Yeah, I don't know. Need I say more? It's fucking gorgeous and amazing.
Fucking good, and I'm very picky about rosé and completely unbiased. This is really fucking good. One of the
so
best.
phenomenal.
fucking good.
Yeah. One of
It's
the best
also-
rosés I've ever had.
It's also like a very food-friendly rosé. Makes your mouth water, but it's not like a palate blaster. It's the sweetness and the acidity are very balanced. So it's going to go well with like fatty foods or spicy foods, pasta, things that are a little bit rich. It's going to hold up well, but it's also going to like cleanse your palate really nicely
With each
between
bite.
bites. Yeah,
Like an Alfredo.
Like an Alfredo. This would be so fucking amazing with a Caesar salad with grilled shrimp.
Stop.
Yeah. I
You
just like
shut the fuck
I can't.
up.
I can't shut the fuck up.
your whore mouth.
Yeah, you slutty
Your
fucking shrimp
filthy
lover.
fucking slutty mouth.
Yeah, you sick shrimp eating fuck. Oh god, I knocked my camera over. Oh my god. That was okay. I'm back.
You
Okay.
fucking
Wow,
slut
I have to
mouth
not
whore.
get so excited about shrimp that I fucking
You don't even have.
that I'm just thinking about.
I'm
that
drinking.
I flailed and knocked over everything on my desk.
I'm drinking a spiked eggnog. lactose-free
Yerm.
eggnog.
Look, I'm drinking some kind of old Kim Crawford.
We are exactly who we are.
I know.
I love this. All right, shall we pop?
Let's do it.
Yes.
I've inserted my XOXO, the Wine and Crime Gals iridescent wine key, because it just looks so pretty with this rosé. I'm obsessed.
Gorge. Mm-hmm.
And here we go.
Oh, wow.
That
nice
was
pop.
a
That was a
300
very-
decibel pop.
Very nice pop.
All right. Well, cheers, y'all.
Cheers, you beautiful bitches. 300
300.
fucking episodes.
Look how far we've come, my baby. Might have took the long way. We knew we'd get there someday.
We really
Definitely
didn't know.
took the long way.
They said, I bet this is a bad
We should
idea
make bonus
going into
episodes.
business
But here we
with
are.
your best friends.
Okay.
But we fucking did it.
On that note, Lucy, what's our background and maybe psych for Unholy Trinity?
Well, wouldn't you know, I have background and psych, but before we get to it, I have a little treat for you.
Oh no.
A 300 episode treat?
Yes. But
Yeah?
I'm going to forewarn you, the two of you know, I have been suffering with COVID the last week or so.
The black lung.
I got the lung pop. So I'm unable to sing, but I was able to rearrange a famous holiday poem for our purposes.
Yes.
And so here we go.
No.
I got
Wait.
my eggnog. I'm so ready.
Okay. 'Twas the night before.
Yes!
Oh, God.
I was hoping this was it.
'Twas the night before Thursday, and on my iTunes, not a fresh ep was loading, not one since noon. My AirPods were charging right next to my bed, ready for new podcasts to enter my head. My meds were all taken, my cat snuggled up. I had freshly refilled my ice water cup. My husband's CPAP securely attached.
This is very true to life. I
Yeah.
can picture this exactly.
Lucy setting a scene.
The water cup.
I write what I know.
I know.
My husband's CPAP securely attached. Eye mask on forehead, ready for dreams to dispatch. When all of a sudden my iPhone went bright, I scrambled for my glasses to allow me some sight. The podcast widget, purple and gleaming. Oh joy, what new episode would I soon be streaming?
Oh,
so good.
Is it Ologies or Slow Burn or This American Life? Is Keith Morrison narrating about someone's dead wife? I tore my iPhone from its white charging cord. The cats protested, but their cries were ignored. I swiped the push quickly to the left, not caring that my sleep schedule soon would be effed. I needed the gals and their wine-drunken laughter. A very special fan pick was what I was after.
Amanda's gonna cry.
As if it were a gift gleaming under the tree. Oh, what could this week's episode topic be? A slasher, a thrasher, a stabber, a victim, a fiber, a bloodstain, a warm pool of sebum. To the top of the feed, to the most recent show. Now download, let the wine flow. Already this year they've taught us so much, like, ich habe eine Klaubenfuß, I need a crutch. A missing axe and a submarine excursion. Anything to accommodate their sports ball aversion.
Yeah.
Is that a mole or a small teratoma? Give it a whiff and check the aroma.
Oh my. Oh my God.
If the surgeon must use a serrated dagger to safely remove your homunculus Wagner, remember to ask whether you can keep it in a clean jar of ethanol. Sure, you can steep it.
What? Oh my
Things
God.
took a loosey turn.
Yeah.
I fucking wrote it. Whatever.
I know.
Yeah.
I've even learned the correct way to say, bien sûr, sur papier, c'est papier mâché.
Zut alors.
To be fair, though, if there's no geography, I'll throw a fit. I need to know how many miles from Peniston is it? If I manage to avoid unthinkable felons, I may live as long as unsinkable Helen. From K-pop chaos to ugly state flags, washed up in stinky black garbage bags.
Ooh, yep.
Narcissists, nurses, nuns, and bad Charlies, Clementine grenades, and beyond stupid frat parties. Father John Missy and his beloved Rose Quartz, bad barristers, backlogs, and corrupt courts. Fistfights during your Waffle House shift, florists, fiery cabins, and Tokyo Drift. Handwriting, Renfest, witch hunts, and more. But I am starting to doze by the intro score. Now my eyelids are heavy, my eye mask blocks light. Happy 300 to all, and to all, a good night.
Oh my God! I have chills.
That was
Oh man, so good. Oh,
I couldn't sing this time.
it was
'cause-
great. You sound great. It was really special. It was so good.
Well, I'll email you the lyrics. Lyrics? I'll email you the prose.
The poem. I love it. Thank you. Also, now I'm taking my pumps out.
Yes.
That's my 300 gift.
Wow.
I do have a little bit of background, but it's not that interesting.
Well, that was better than anything else could ever be. So
I'm glad you guys liked
it
it.
was so good.
That was amazing. I was transported.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
It was really, I mean, like, you really nailed it.
You
Thank you.
really nailed it.
Well, let me give a quick shout out to my friend Ben, who helped me with a lot of these rhymes.
Oh, thank you,
Nice.
Ben.
Good job, Ben.
They're so good.
Ben is my soul sister, right?
Ben is definitely your soul sister.
Yeah.
Ben really likes like Byzantine era architecture and shit like that.
Yeah.
So
that tracks.
yeah. Okay. Well, I do have a little bit of background on the number 3 for us.
Mm.
So this is from Encyclopedia Britannica, My Lover. The number 3 is a very mystical and spiritual number featured in many folk tales. So like 3 wishes, 3 guesses, 3 little pigs, 3 bears,
3 sirens.
3 Billy
Riddles
Goats Gruff.
3.
What?
Like these riddles 3.
Oh yeah, just
Answer
3.
me these questions 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not actually a round number, but it's like kind of a round dead
It's
number.
like a sacred special number. You know, like, geez, like Catholicism.
We'll get to it.
The Holy
We-
Trinity,
We
yeah.
will get to it. In ancient Babylon, the 3 primary gods were Anu, Baal, and Ea, representing heaven, earth, and the abyss.
Ooh,
which
I
I-
like that.
I love that so much more
I
than
want
like
to worship
hell.
the abyss.
Right? The abyss.
Hell yeah. Okay.
That's way more terrifying. Similarly, there were 3 aspects to the Egyptian sun god. So it's Khepri, which is rising,
Capri Sun.
Re, which is midday, and Atum, which is setting.
Cool.
In Christianity, there is the Trinity of the God the Father.
Yeah,
sorry,
the
God
Father,
the
Son,
God
Holy
the Father,
Spirit.
God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. But yes, but they're all like the God.
I don't super get what the Holy Spirit means.
Well, no one
Or
does.
like
It's called faith, Kenyon. Just go with it.
I think it's just like the general vibe
Right.
of Christianity.
Got it. The
It's
vibe.
like you've got God the Almighty, and then like he gave his son or whatever to like die for our sins or whatever. And then like they are encompassed as this like one point of worship
Right.
under the Holy Spirit.
like a room
Yeah.
mist.
yeah.
Got it.
Like a diffuser.
Yeah.
Where like God is the water and like the sun is the lavender essential oil that you like put into the water, and then the mist that goes off into the room to bring you a sensuous pleasure is the Holy Spirit.
Got it,
You're
got it,
not
got it,
like totally wrong.
I'm not.
I mean, no one's right here, but I will say,
I was confirmed.
I was always taught that the Holy Spirit was like how like God presents himself like in our tragic mortal beings.
You're like, you
like
could be
the-
filled with
there's
the
like-
Holy Spirit.
There's
Oh, it's
God,
like your-
there's
it's like your
Jesus, and then there's the
soul?
Holy Spirit is like how he manifests.
Yeah, it's like the general vibe of godliness.
It's the general vibe. It's literally
Cool.
the vibe.
It's the vibe.
All right.
Plato saw 3 as being symbolic of the triangle, which is the simplest spatial shape, and considered the world to have been built from triangles.
Oh.
In German
pyramids.
In German folklore, a paper triangle with a cross in each corner and a prayer in the middle was thought to act as protection against gout, as well as protecting a cradle from witches.
Ooh,
Oh.
creepy.
So if you made a little paper triangle,
How do
a la
I attract
sixth grade
witches to a cradle?
notes.
Right?
I know, right? I don't know. What's the opposite of a triangle? Nothing.
A circle?
An inverted triangle.
No.
Something with no angles whatsoever.
Don't be silly.
No,
A
idiot.
vagina. I feel like I'm
Sure.
in like a Dan
Oh,
Brown
that's
novel.
still a triangle.
Gods and demons.
Goblet.
A chalice.
Yeah,
Oh.
chalice.
Oh my god,
Okay.
it's a chalice.
It's
Oh,
still
God.
a triangle.
I know. I'm just fucking around.
Fucking. Oh, Da Vinci Code. I cannot. I
The Holy Feminine.
cannot.
I
Ish.
love the Da Vinci Code. It's
I
so
just
bad.
rewatched all of them when I was
Disgusting.
like a fucking zombie on bed rest. I just
Hold
watched
up.
all the Da Vinci Code movies. They were just like perfectly mindless. for me.
Yeah.
Absurd.
Yeah. They're
I do
amazing.
love Tom Hanks, though.
Oh,
like,
his
with
hair.
all my soul.
Mhm.
I always refer to him in that movie as Nick Hanks because it's Tom Hanks with Nick Cage's hair. And
Yeah.
once you see it, you can't unsee it.
No,
So,
And,
I
like,
think I
starring
see it
Nick
in my
Hanks.
mind.
Like when
Yeah.
Nick Cage is like on his meds and like needs to pay the mortgage, he can be
Right.
very Tom Hanksy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And like when
you want,
he like
you want
has,
Hanks? I can give you Hanks.
yeah, when he has to play by the rules, he
Mhm.
can. Yeah.
I love Nick Cage.
I gotta pull a Hanks.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. 3 black animals were often sacrificed when attempting to conjure up demons.
Mm.
On the other hand, a 3-colored cat, aka a calico, was a protective spirit. In William Shakespeare's Macbeth, there are 3 witches, and their spell begins, quote, "Thrice the brindled cat hath mewed." So reflects sad superstitions. Also, 3 is the dimension of the smallest magic square in which every row, column, and diagonal sums to 15.
I don't
There's
get
a
it.
lot of like math shit in here, like the Pythagorean theorem and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah.
and
geometry and
prime
Yeah.
numbers and all that. I tried to ignore
Mhm.
most of that.
right.
There is some evidence to suggest that early man may have used counting systems which consisted of 1, 2, 3, and then after that, just many.
That's what it's like in Scottish Gaelic.
Weird.
That's what it's like in a lot of languages.
We don't need to know exact amounts. I like that.
Mhm.
Many.
1, 2, 3, and the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, they
bunch.
have other numbers, but like
Sure.
the structure of naming things is different.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Cool.
makes a lot of sense because, like, if you're counting big things, you probably only
Mhm.
need to go up to 3. And if you're counting like a lot of little shit, do you need to know the exact number? Like,
No.
no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 3 is associated with self-achievement, creativity, self-expression, and things coming full circle, which is another reason why 3 is represented in a lot of religions.
Mm-hmm.
So we've touched on Christianity. It's also represented a lot in Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism. There's a lot of religions that have that hold 3 as like a really holy number.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to go into all of them because
That would take a lot
that
of
is
time.
a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I had my poem to recite.
You chose correctly.
The ancient Greek philosopher Pythagoras, ever heard of him, postulated that the meaning behind numbers was deeply significant. In their eyes, the number 3 was considered as the perfect number, the number of harmony, wisdom, and understanding. It was also the number of time, so it represented, or it didn't represent, but there was past, present, and future. There was birth, life, and death, and there was beginning, middle, and end. So
Maiden, mother, and crone.
Mm.
also like mother, father, child.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the number of the divine.
Mm-hmm.
3 is the number of dimensions that humans can perceive. So humans perceive the universe to have 3 spatial dimensions. So like this way, and this way.
Mm-hmm.
But some
My
theories.
mommy wipes me
This
way,
way,
and this way.
And
What if
also
you had
this
been,
way.
my mommy wipes me this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, and this way.
yeah.
Deal with it.
She really likes to wipe.
Yeah.
So some theories, such as string theory, suggest that there are more than 3 dimensions. I feel like we know that there are more than 3 dimensions, but we just can't like
Perceive
get
them.
it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't click in our brains. Certainly
Mm-hmm.
does not click in mine, but I don't think that that's a surprise.
Well,
Yeah.
it doesn't click in anyone's brain. The number 3, like the way that our brains have formed,
Yeah, it's so in there.
we're limited at 3.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And here's another example. Humans are trichromatic, which means the retina contains 3 types of color receptor cells or cones. So they can detect red, yellow, and blue, which are the main colors that we see. And every other color is just being one or some combination of these plus like light and dark.
Right.
Those are the primary colors.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yes.
Just making sure.
Yes.
Yes.
And bathtubs aren't made of teeth.
So
Correct.
just to,
In this dimension, they are not.
God.
in review,
Just
the
checking.
primary colors are
I mean, I know what the primary colors are,
Red.
but if you had to say,
I'm just making sure you know.
blue. Woo, I gotta be ready to teach this kid.
Yeah.
You have no business being a parent.
So, if you were to say what the
I just
primary
said them.
colors are,
So if you were to just describe, like in layman's terms.
I want you to guess. For 2 reasons. 1, I just said them, so I'm hoping you were fucking listening. And 2,
She's not asking
I
for
know.
real.
I need you to say it.
I'm reading it. Red,
Tell me
yellow, and
that
blue.
bathtubs are not made out of teeth. I need to hear you say it.
But I need to hear you say that you know what the primary colors are and that bathtubs are not made out of teeth.
I don't know. I'm gonna do my own research.
Michael, I'm so sorry. I need to hear you say you're not the Godfather. I need to hear you say it.
Okay. The phrase third time's a charm refers to the superstition that after 2 failures in any endeavor, the third attempt is more likely to succeed.
Okay.
There's also some This is also sometimes seen as in reverse, as in the third man to do something presumably forbidden gets caught. So like the third guy who tries to steal the loaf of bread from that bakery is going to get caught.
In French, there's like a phrase, jamais deux sans trois, which means never two without three. So like if something happens twice, it's gonna happen a third time.
I have heard that also. Well, I heard that actually in dating advice when I was in high school. If he's gonna do it to you twice, he's gonna do it to you a third time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I have broken up with more than one boyfriend on that principle alone.
Yeah. You don't have to wait around to see if it's going to happen a third time. If it
happens twice, it's gonna happen a third time.
Yeah.
I will actually stand by that. I forgot about that bit of wisdom. I think my mom told me that. God bless. It's gonna happen a third time. So luck, especially bad luck, is often said to come in threes. I've heard death also comes in threes.
Our
creepy,
Shannon dull curse comes in threes.
Comes in threes. In Chinese culture, 3, which is san, is considered a good number because it sounds like the word for alive, which is sheng, compared to the number 4, si, which sounds like the word for death, which is si.
Oh. Okay.
So 3 sounds like alive, 4 sounds like death.
Got it.
So 3 is a lucky number in Chinese. There's another superstition that is unlucky to that says it's unlucky to take a third light. That is to be the third person to light a cigarette from the same match or the same lighter. And this superstition is sometimes asserted to have originated among soldiers in the trenches of the First World War, when a sniper might see the first light, take aim on the second light, and fire on the third light.
Oh,
Give your position away.
That is so clever and so dark. So obviously
So
I
scary.
love it.
Yeah.
Also, like a couple weeks ago, I was in like a really bad mood, and for some reason I decided to watch the new iteration of All Quiet on the Western Front on Netflix.
I have not watched that yet, but yes.
Beautiful, fantastic movie. Why I chose to watch it while I was already in a bad mood, I don't know.
Were you on your period or was it imminent? Because that sounds like a period decision.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It really does sound like a menstrual
Wept
decision.
through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll happen.
Also a fantastic movie, though. You should watch it if
I've
you
heard
have,
it's
like,
amazing, actually.
the gumption. Counting to 3 is common in situations where a group of people wish to perform an action in synchrony. So like when we're counting in to start our episodes.
Yeah, we do it 3 times.
Mhm. So we say now on the count of 3, everybody do something. Assuming the counter is proceeding at a uniform rate, the first 2 counts are necessary to establish said rate, and the count of 3 is predicted based on the timing of the 1 and 2 before it.
Also, a second, like the amount of time that is in 1 second, is said to be the amount of time it takes to count to 3.
Oh.
Oh, like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
2.
That's like
2,
a
3,
uniform.
3, 2, 3.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Those are seconds.
Yep.
Interesting.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
I like that. So 3 is likely used instead of any other number because it requires the minimal amount of counts while setting that rate. So you have 1 and 2 to set the rate, and then 3 is like go. If you're a patron of the arts, you might be familiar with the rule of thirds. It's used for composing visual images, whether they are designs, films, paintings, or photographs, whatever.
Anything in the Da Vinci Code.
Anything in the Da Vinci Code.
It all circles back to the Da Vinci Code, people.
Yes. But I think that has a lot to
Everything
do
is
with the
connected to the albino monk.
Pythagorean theorem, which is a little bit different. They're related, but they're not the same. So the guidelines of the rule of thirds proposes that an image should be imagined as divided into 9 equal parts by 2 equally spaced horizontal lines and 2 equally spaced vertical lines. So picture a
grid.
A grid of 9 spaces. So like 3 and 3.
For anyone out there who
tic-tac-toe.
does, but for anyone out there who like does photography, like
You all
every
know.
modern camera has that setting to divide your, point of frame,
Composition.
right, into a grid that's like on your viewfinder, so that while you're pointing and shooting, you can abide by that rule.
Mm-hmm. But also, like, if you're, it becomes sort of an innate thing, and it's not a hard and fast rule. It's just a guideline for composition.
In fact, a lot of provocative art intentionally bucks that rule because it's jarring to our eye, because we are not used to seeing that.
Yep. Okay, so that important compositional elements should be placed along these lines or at their intersections. So I have a photo on the drive to sort of show what I'm talking about. Not that you really need to, but there's a photo of like 2 girls, and they're against a grid of 9 evenly spaced squares. And like every single point of interest falls along one of those intersecting lines. And that's,
Including that lobster?
No, not the lobster, the other one.
We're looking at a different photo.
That one. Okay. Great.
What
Can't
it's-
wait to get to the lobster.
What about
And-
the photo
well-
of like the brother in the back?
I love the senior photo of the brother.
Okay. I know the senior photo of the brother is disgusting, but
Look
the
at
lobster
his
photo,
face, his bow tie.
I literally Googled rule of thirds, and this was one of the first images that popped up. It's 3 like maids and like a enormous lobster coming out of the side to like
And then
attack
like maybe
them.
a dead man.
Yeah.
like maybe a dead man. I only included it in here because it was mystifying.
I
great.
love it.
I have no idea what that context is, but I
No
included
notes.
it. So the rule of thirds was first written down by John Thomas Smith. Could there be a more boring name ever?
Okay, you know our editor's name is Jonathan Thomas, XYZ.
John
John.
Thomas Smith. I'm sorry. Sorry, John. You
Sorry,
got
you're
fucked.
2/3 of a boring
You
name.
got fucked. Sorry, John. You got fucked.
You goofy.
You goofed.
You goof.
Your mom goofed. She goofed real bad.
But the rule of thirds
No,
was
we
first
love your mom.
introduced
Your
in
mom is a saint.
1797, which was like way farther back than I thought it would be.
It's
Okay.
like 6 months before Helen was born. It's crazy.
Last thing I'm going to say. There are psychological reasons why our brains like images based on the rule of thirds. So our minds try to make order out of chaos by creating relationships between things to understand them. Another example, you know how, have you seen those like memes that are like, is it a biscuit or a dog?
Oh, yeah.
Is it a blueberry
Oh, yeah.
muffin or a chihuahua?
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's because our brains will see a blueberry muffin and it's like, I need to see a face. Oh, it's a dog's face.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
In a
Well, and those
muffin?
memes, well, yeah.
Yeah.
And those memes also like prime us by saying, do you see
Yeah.
this or this?
Yeah.
Yes,
To
but
then
also
seek out those things.
Okay, so here's a different example. One time I went into an elevator that was lined with like burled wood, like burled oak or like swirly oak. And all I could
Fancy
see,
bitch.
all I could see, well, it was in the Dakota Hotel, which is where John Lennon was killed, I think. Anyway, you too can see these elevators. But it looks like horrific, like horrified faces, like big sad eyes and like screaming mouths.
So
but like
this has
over and
a-
over and over.
This has a name.
It's
called
just it's facial
face-
recognition.
Right, but that specific thing that you're referring to, like seeing faces in like inanimate objects that aren't faces.
Psychosis.
Correct.
No,
but
no,
that's how our brains try to work.
Yes, and it's very common, but not every single person has it. And it's specific. I follow a subreddit of this because I love these kinds of pictures. It's called face pareidolia. And it's the illusion of seeing a facial structure in an everyday object. And it tells us a lot about how our brains detect and recognize social cues. So this can even differ on like a cultural bias. Like people who, I mean, there are cultures that like don't have sarcasm at all. And so that wouldn't be recognized at all in their culture, like that kind of joke.
Or like the color pink.
Right. So I just think stuff like that is so fascinating. It's like completely nuts.
But in general, I think my point was, in general, your brain tries to create relationships between things, even if they're not obviously there.
Right. And like one thing is one thing. Two things could be completely unrelated. It's hard to establish a pattern between two things. When that third thing kicks in, then your brain can start trying to create a pattern.
Yep. So in relations to this rule of thirds, our minds try to create patterns and order out of chaos or unrelated things in order to try to understand them. Therefore, a slightly uneven image will pull information from its surroundings and make the whole scene more holistically interesting. Odd numbers have more attention-seeking capabilities than even numbers because they take longer for our brains to process. An odd number of elements makes for a more dynamic and pleasing image because it conveys tension and energy, particularly at those intersections of the grid lines. So again, it's not, the rule of thirds isn't like a hard and fast rule, but it is like sort of a recipe for creating a more visually interesting and dynamic composition.
What this is telling me is that reality doesn't exist. And we're all just meat computers with like a similar framework, but with a lot of unique glitches that will make some of us experience things one way while a whole other group of us experience things another way.
We all have slightly different inputs, but essentially the same algorithm.
Yeah.
Right. And no software updates.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
So we're
Yeah,
in a simulation. This is a simulation. Yeah, no.
Anyway, so that is my background in psych on
I love it.
Yeah.
the number 3.
That was phenomenal.
Very
Loved it.
Thanks,
All
thanks,
right.
thanks.
Are we ready for, I think, the darkest case I've ever done?
Oh my
I've heard
God.
this from you before.
I keep
But I
ramping up.
Yeah, I believe you every time. So, no, I'm not ready.
I also skipped over
Gonna go with no.
a lot of the dark details. One, because there were so many, we quite literally don't have time. And two, I just mentally couldn't handle it.
Okay.
So I tried to focus on some of just like the more anecdotal stuff rather
and
than
to clarify, this case is not a fan pick. You did this one yourself.
I did this one.
I did.
I did.
Unabashedly. I did.
Exactly,
I did.
Dr. Phil.
Yeah,
I did.
I did.
Yeah, I did. All right.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Yeah, I did.
It was
When you're right, you're right.
me.
Yeah, I did.
I'm the
Yeah, I did.
problem. It's me.
I love yeah, I did.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
That was me clinging to my last shred of serotonin before you do your Okay, continue. Great.
Yeah.
Love it.
Find the joy where you can. I wanted to go
Make your own happiness.
I wanted to go really traditional for episode 300.
Traditional.
To be fair, though, you ran this by us. You were like, weeks ago, you were like, should I go darker than I've ever gone for episode 300? And we were like, obviously, yes.
I know this case, and it is beyond fun.
I like vaguely remember this case because I think I almost covered it once, and then I was
Decided
like,
not to. Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it. And here we are.
Yeah. I think you almost did it for a
There's-
live show, and then you were like, retreat.
No.
Yeah, abort mission.
God, no.
Okay. All right, so you've been warned. All right.
Okay.
Donald Henry Gaskins Jr. was born in
No.
Florence County, South Carolina on March 13th, 1933.
No.
33.
No.
What a
it's
holy
evil.
number.
No.
The third month, March
No.
13th, 1933.
1933.
No.
I'm literally just
No.
putting that together right now. I didn't plan it.
No.
Okay.
I need more wine, and I'm already fucking sweating. That's too many threes. I can't. Nope.
He's a three-namer, Donald Henry Gaskins.
Ooh, was he the third child in his family?
He's a
Don't.
junior, so no. Unless they did like the name and then they did senior.
Or maybe
and
they
then
had a
they did
girl
junior.
I
and
love
then
it when
him.
they do that because it's so shady.
It throws it all off. Okay.
Yeah, it's so mean.
His mother was, and you really can't make this up, Eula Parrott.
That's her name?
That's her name. Eula Parrott.
Like,
No,
bitch,
I'm a
you
parrot.
Eula Parrott was his mother's name.
Incredible.
No, you the parrot.
No, bitch, you la parrot.
And-
Bitch, you the parrot.
And he was the youngest of her several children that she'd had with different men. Donald, who was always small for his age, was soon given the nickname Pee-wee, which would
No.
stick with him for life.
Oh no,
That's
don't
too
ruin
bad.
Pee-wee.
Okay,
He
first of
deserves
all,
it, don't
Pee-wee
worry.
was never good.
No, don't worry
And,
about it.
and
We have differing opinions on how bad it is to masturbate in a pornography theater.
that's not the
Different
part of him
Pee-wee.
that I have a problem with. It's more just his general Holy Spirit.
I love the Holy Spirit of Pee-wee.
This is not the same Pee-wee we're
I
talking
know
about.
it's not, but I'm
Okay.
saying this evil Pee-wee is going to ruin Pee-wee for me because I love Pee-wee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep up.
He will. So, according to legend, Pee-wee did not even know his real name was Donald until he'd heard it read out loud during a court appearance following his first arrest.
Okay, that's
Because
amazing.
he was just only ever called Pee-wee.
That's amazing.
Oh.
And this happened to me not with an arrest, but a girlfriend of mine has a son and his name is Hank.
Mhm.
And I had only known him as Hank and had no idea that Hank was short for now I
Henry.
don't even remember.
Hanklin.
Henry.
Hanklin?
Hanklin.
Hankerson.
And then she referred to him as
Hankathon.
Henry to me for the first time ever. And this kid's 4. And I was like, wait, who the fuck is Henry? And she's like, my son.
Why do you know this many children? It's
Oh,
weird
girl.
to me.
Yeah.
I
You're like
know
the
a
little
lot of
old
kids.
lady who
Lot
lived in
of
the shoe.
kids.
I'm a Pied Piper. Take your kids.
Little children.
Don't let your kids near Amanda.
Whatever, I'm awesome with kids.
And to ride boots. Okay.
She says as she sings that song.
I always have good candy. I have a car seat.
Oh my God.
I have a playhouse. I have a slide.
It's true.
I mean, give me your kiss.
Same.
Okay. So Pee-wee had an almost indescribably horrific childhood.
Oh no.
His mother completely neglected him. When he was just a year old, he reportedly drank a bottle of kerosene,
Oh no.
which caused him to suffer from convulsions for several years.
I can't believe he didn't die.
Oh.
It's a miracle he didn't die.
Yep. Honestly,
Ah.
he should have.
And he must be I feel like that would cause damage and I'm not defending this person.
Mhm.
But I feel like drinking a bottle of kerosene would probably alter you not just physically, but
What's a
psychologically
bottle?
for
Like a
the
liter?
rest of your life.
I
Like
don't
a
know.
little bit or like a lot of it?
Does it
I mean,
matter?
Anything that could fit in more than a thimble is a shocking amount.
Yeah.
I know that, but in terms of damage,
I don't know the answer to how many milliliters of kerosene he drank as a 12-month-old, but it was too many.
Yeah.
too many.
Um,
it's like it tastes good, right?
Over the limit.
I don't know. Maybe it was flavorless, and then they add with the gas stove.
What would
they
you
like,
add? All right.
flavors
that's
so
fine.
that people don't drink
They add a
it.
scent or whatever, yeah, so you can recognize it.
I don't fucking know.
I get what you're saying.
He
but
was
we don't know the
so
answer.
neglected as a child that this even happened.
Yeah, he was a baby. He found something that he could access and
Yeah.
you put it in your mouth and he
Right.
fucking drank it.
Right.
So, like, you know, end of story.
He also suffered ongoing abuse from a male relative, and it has been rumored that his mother sometimes sold him to men to sexually abuse.
Oh,
Yep.
The
God. It's a
worst
baby.
The worst fucking childhood one could possibly have.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
At age 11, Pee-wee dropped out of school and began working at a local garage fixing cars.
Makes sense.
11?
Just this is like some Ron Swanson shit.
Yeah.
It's like when I was 12, when I graduated high school, my dad dropped me off at the steel mill.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't
Sixth
go to
grade.
my prom. Yeah.
Yeah. Here,
Oh my God.
yeah, so he's 11, he's a dropout, and he's working at a garage fixing cars.
Oh, poor guy.
Here he met two other boys named Danny and Marsh, who were around the same age and had also dropped out of school because apparently the fucking 1940s in South Carolina was just a wild, lawless place. The three began referring to themselves as the Trouble Trio. Hence the tie-in to this episode.
Got it.
Got it.
It's, yep,
We got
makes
it.
sense.
And those are literally the only tie-ins to this episode that I
Great.
have. Okay.
Pulling it, Amanda. I support it.
And so they're hanging out, these three troublemakers, and they begin committing a range of crimes together. And we are not just talking breaking a few windows or like going on a joyride.
Kid shit.
Yeah.
Like shitty kid
Yeah,
shit that
not
we all
shitty
fucking
kid
do.
shit.
Mm-hmm.
Their crimes
Real shit.
yeah, included burglary, assault, rape, and incest.
Oof.
And again, they're preteens.
Mm-hmm.
So the trio finally disbanded after they were caught by Marsh's parents raping his younger sister.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
And the parents did not report this to the police at the time, but they beat the boys so severely. Well, they beat the boys severely, and then both Danny and Marsh's families left town soon after the incident, I think because they wanted to get their
As far away from this stain on their family name as possible.
yes, and from Pee-wee, who I think
Mm.
they saw as a negative
The
ringleader.
ringleader.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Okay.
But Pee-wee Gaskins remained, and he continued committing increasingly brutal crimes all on his own. At age 13,
Ugh, that's so scary.
he was arrested for attacking a woman with an axe during a home invasion.
Jesus Christ.
13.
That's some violent shit.
For this, he was sentenced to 5 years in reform school at the terrifyingly named South Carolina Industrial School for White Boys.
Yikes.
White boys?
It's the 1950s in South Carolina.
Oh, God.
And it's that reform school, basically just horrific institution of abuse,
Mm-hmm.
had been open since like the early 1900s.
I mean, I actually can't imagine what the reform school for black boys was
Right.
then.
Even worse conditions, I'm sure.
Ugh.
Yeah. But here, the abuse against Pee-wee continued unabated. He was singled out for his small size, and he suffered torture and rape from the other students and probably faculty, but
Yeah.
other students for sure. At one point, Pee-wee escaped from the reform school, got married to a 13-year-old girl. He was like in his teens as well.
Yeah.
Like
But, like-
16.
Yeah, ish. 15, 16, I don't know exactly.
Different times.
And married a 13-year-old. And
God.
this marriage would officially last until 1955. And he then returned voluntarily to complete his sentence at the reform school. Just
Oh my God.
had like a
What?
quick escape marriage.
A recess, if you will.
Yeah.
Mm.
So then he is officially released from reform school when he is 18.
Wow.
He finds work on a tobacco farm, but that wasn't enough for him. He had to be breaking the law. And so he soon devised a scheme that involved burning down farm buildings for money so that the owners could collect on insurance payouts.
Okay.
So at least he wasn't just like,
But the owners were in on it.
yes, the owners hired him
Okay.
to burn down their properties so they could have a reasonable alibi. And
I'm
then
not saying
Okay.
it's way better, but it's better
Right.
than
it's
just
fine.
There's like some logic. in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's honestly not even a problem compared
Right.
to everything else that this guy
Right.
did. Despite his continued illegal activities, he managed to remain a free man for 2 whole years until
Wow. What a streak.
until he was arrested in 1953, again, still married to his teen bride, for attacking a different teenage girl with a hammer.
Oh. Okay.
He's 20 and he's already gotten caught for 3 different horrific rapes on children.
Yeah, what the fuck?
did he kill this
No,
latest
we-
child?
We have not gotten to any murders yet, but
Okay.
we
Yet.
will
Hmm.
soon. So this time, Pee-wee was sentenced to 6 years in the South Carolina penitentiary. While serving this sentence, he murdered a fellow inmate named, and again, I swear these are all fucking real names, Hazel Brazel.
What? What even is that?
Just to
It's a
recap,
first and a last name.
we have
Hazel
Pee-wee,
Brazel.
Eula Parrot,
Sorry, I'm the
and
idiot.
Hazel Brazel.
Hazel Brazel. Keep up.
Yeah.
I like Hazel Brazel.
You absolutely would
You
like
shouldn't-
Hazel Brazel.
Shouldn't like him as a man because he was allegedly the most feared man in the prison. And so the fact that Pee-wee murdered him when Pee-wee was like this small, young kid serving of this
Waif.
new
Yeah.
sentence
20-year-old waif. Yeah.
is pretty remarkable. So this resulted in Gaskins being sentenced to an additional 3 years. I'm just going to keep emphasizing anytime a
Ooh.
3 comes up.
Oh.
For involuntary manslaughter. He claimed the killing had been in self-defense and like it likely was, or he murdered Hazel Brazel just for clout.
Hazel Brazel.
Or like
Or
just to
just
make
for the story.
just to like
I
make his
mean,
own life
I killed
easier
Hazel
in
Brazel.
prison, I think.
Right. You don't want to fuck with me. I killed Hazel Brazel,
Yeah,
the
Hazel
baddest
Brazel.
boy in jail.
I'm the killer of Hazel Brazel.
Don't mind me, the killer of Hazel Brazel.
Coming to a town near you.
Hazel Brazel.
He might be Hazel Brazel.
Maybe.
I don't know. Was it Brazel of me to assume? So, this earned him fear and respect from the other inmates, something that did not necessarily come easy to him with his small stature. Again, as an adult, he was about 5'4" and weighed just 130 pounds. He was a tiny man.
Little peanut.
Little Pee-wee Peanut.
Just a little guy.
So Pee-wee...
Petite man. Le petite man.
Le
Petit
Petit
Man.
Man.
Pee-wee would ultimately only serve about 2 years in the South Carolina penitentiary because that seems fair after attacking a teen girl with a hammer and murdering a man.
Yeah. It
They
stacks
were
up.
busy.
It's fine.
2 years.
What's their beef?
After learning that his child bride on the outside had divorced him, Gaskins escaped the penitentiary by hiding in the back of a garbage truck that was leaving the premises.
Genius.
Don't love that.
He soon made his way to Florida, where he joined what else? A traveling carnival.
No.
Once a carny, always a carny.
Always a carny. Yep.
At some point, he also remarried, but that second marriage only lasted 2 weeks.
Mm. Been there.
Also, he's like
Been there.
he's like
I don't know what
21 at this point. Like
Right.
he's
lived a lot of life.
lived a life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he gave it a good go.
Yeah.
Eventually, Pee-wee was captured and put back in prison, but only until 1961 when he was somehow fucking released on parole.
Wow.
I don't know how.
I mean, the justice system often doesn't care about crimes against vulnerable.
Oh,
Yeah.
People
he
and
had
women.
So many crimes, though.
So many crimes. He's like
Yeah.
a recidivist, psychopath. He escaped.
Yeah. This
Mhm.
this was an oversight, I
Yeah.
feel.
He's out on
Like,
parole.
Yes, to Amanda's point, yes, but also like this is egregious.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So after this release, he made ends meet through burglary and fencing stolen goods. But don't worry.
Fencing.
Fencing, like reselling stolen goods.
Oh, I've never heard that term.
Yeah.
Fencing.
Fencing.
Yeah. With with your little
You know, the thing that
your
separates
little-
two properties.
With like
Right,
a foil.
you know,
You
the thing
foil.
with your
You
little-
foil, you fence. You fight
little pin
against
sword.
it.
Yeah,
Your
like
little
when
pin
you
sword.
offend somebody and then you say, I don't mean no offense. Offense.
Okay.
Fencing.
Oh,
Right.
all right. All right.
Oh. All right.
Don't worry, in 1963, he was arrested yet again for raping a 12-year-old girl,
Ugh.
but he managed to flee before this trial commenced. He was eventually tracked down and arrested yet again and sentenced to 8 whole years in prison. However, already by 1968, so fewer than 5 years later, he was again out on parole. This was after skipping trial and again raping a 12-year-old,
Right.
which was already a fucking pattern for this man.
Mm-hmm.
In 1970, Pee-wee Gaskins is believed to have committed his first murders aside from the prison murder of Hazel Brazel. He lured his 15-year-old niece,
Oh no.
Janice Kirby, and her 17-year-old friend Patricia Ann Allsbrook to an abandoned house and attempted but failed to rape them. I don't quite know what that means. That was just how it was phrased everywhere that I read. Like, he obviously sexually assaulted both of them, but I think like either he couldn't get it up or it was too
They fought him
difficult
off
for
enough,
him to
yeah.
like manage both of them at the same time.
Yeah, I don't even want to.
No, we're skipping over details.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He then beat both of them to death. Again, it's his niece and her friend. Gaskins would later claim that his first non-prison murder was actually in September of 1969, so the year prior, when he claimed to have picked up a female hitchhiker and then like tortured and killed her and then sank her body in a swamp. But this has never been corroborated. But also, like, it doesn't sound very far-fetched.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's completely capable of having done that, but there's just
Right.
been no specifics to tie back to this claim.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, this was the beginning of a string of known murders that Gaskins would commit. In 1971, he poisoned a woman named Martha Ann Dix after she claimed Pee-wee was the father of her child. So the way he chose to handle that was to just
Kill her.
murder her.
Yeah.
God.
In 1973, he raped and killed both 22-year-old Doreen Hope Dempsey and her 2-year-old daughter,
Oh my God.
Robin Michelle Dempsey.
Ugh. Makes me sick.
So Doreen was like an acquaintance of his, and Pee-wee, on top of fucking everything else about him, because he sounds like such a great guy, he was also like a raging racist.
Mm-hmm.
And he became enraged when he learned that Doreen was pregnant with a second biracial child, and he thought that that was like his business.
Yeah.
Oh,
And so he murdered her and her first child.
Jesus
Ugh.
fucking Christ.
In 1974, he shot his friend, Johnny Sellers in the back of the head and then stabbed Sellers' girlfriend, Jessie Judy, to death.
What the fuck?
I don't know why. I don't have the details of all of these crimes.
Was the racist reasoning behind these murders only evident in that one?
As far as I can tell. I don't know what race
Not
Hazel
only,
Brazel was.
but you know what I mean. But
Right.
the overt racism, is it just...
I didn't see Hazel Brazel's race mentioned anywhere, which makes me think that he was probably white.
Mm-hmm.
But the only time really overt racism is mentioned is Doreen Dempsey murder.
Okay.
In 1975, Gaskins turned to murder for hire because he's got so much practice.
It's
making a business.
It's like a bingo card.
Mhm.
You're a racist. You're a murder for hire. You're
a
an
rapist.
abuser. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You drank a bottle of kerosene as an infant.
I know.
So he was paid $1,500 to murder a man named Silas Barnwell Yates by Yates's ex-girlfriend and her husband.
Mm.
And just that same year, he would go on to kill 5 other victims. That
Wow.
year alone.
Fuck.
He stabbed 25-year-old Diane Bellamy to death and shot her boyfriend Avery Leroy Howard. So Diane was an acquaintance of Pee-wee's, and she reportedly threatened to tell police that he was allowing underage teenagers to have sex in his home.
Mm-hmm.
And he was probably because he was also a pedophile, probably was involved in that as well. And so she threatened to call the cops. One of the teenagers Diane had likely seen in Pee-wee's home was a 13-year-old girl named Kim Gaskins. Gaskins, again, fucking criminal bingo, had kidnapped Kim from North Carolina, and he, along with several other men, were sexually abusing her. Just basically trafficked her.
Mm-hmm.
When Gaskins became fearful that she would go to the police, he stabbed her to death.
Mm.
Yep. The final 2 murders that Gaskins would commit in 1975 were of 27-year-old Dennis Bellamy and his 15-year-old half-brother John Henry Knight, and these were the brothers of his previous victim, Diane Bellamy, because they all kind of were running around in the same circle together.
Okay.
So Pee-wee owed Dennis Bellamy money for some stolen guns, and when Dennis, along with his younger brother, went to retrieve the payment, Gaskins lured them into the woods behind his home and shot them both.
So he just killed the whole group of them.
The whole family, the sister and her brother and her half-brother.
Ooh.
Fuck.
Or her brother's half-brother. I don't know if he was her half-brother. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm guessing Pee-wee was like, yeah, I got the money for those guns. It's, buried back here, and got them to follow him to the woods. And I don't know if they knew that Pee-wee was responsible for murdering Diane at that point. It was all in the same year. So I'm guessing they probably wouldn't have been selling him stolen guns if they'd known that he'd killed their sister, but I don't know.
Sure.
So these would be the murders that would finally lead to Gaskins' arrest when he kills 2 men. Killed all these other women.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
After an acquaintance of his named Walter Neely went to the police to report that he had knowledge that Pee-wee Gaskins had killed the 2 brothers. Neely also told police that Gaskins had confided in him that he had murdered several other local people who had gone missing over the past few years.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
It's more than 3, so we just call it a few.
Yeah.
We can't get the exact number.
Well, it's
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, and many.
And then many.
Many.
Mhm.
Neely was also much likely much more involved in the crimes than he let on to police when he went to
Right.
them, and he reportedly
And he was turning informant, so they're not going to push him real hard.
he had helped Gaskins bury several of these bodies, it's believed, And then for some reason, maybe he got spooked that like he would be killed next. Or he just like finally hit his own like moral threshold and was like, this guy has to be stopped. Or he had like a personal vendetta. I don't know. Whatever. He went to police and like snitched.
Yeah.
Police had already become suspicious of Pee Wee Gaskins after the 13-year-old Kim Gelkin's disappearance, the girl that he had kidnapped. So they had searched his home and found some of Kim's clothing, and they arrested him, but for the lesser charge of contributing to the delinquency of a minor, because they, like, for some reason couldn't prove that he had kidnapped her or murdered her.
Okay.
But they could prove...
As long as it's something, honestly.
Yeah, they could prove that he had, like, been an adult man, like, weirdly...
Been involved.
Hanging out with this 13-year-old girl.
Sure.
So then on December 4th, 1975, police searched the land near Pee Wee's home, and they found the bodies of 8 of his victims.
Wow.
Which is not even close to all of his victims.
God.
That's just what was at his house.
Uh-huh.
Wow. What he was like confident and ballsy enough and or lazy enough to bury at home.
He was exceedingly lazy. There was almost no effort whatsoever to cover up his crimes.
Of course
Which
he was
also
lazy.
takes confidence. Yeah. That's wild.
Fuck this guy.
Somewhat complicating things, after his arrest, Gaskins began claiming that he had killed many, many more people. He described regularly picking up hitchhikers on coastal highways and brutally torturing them until he finally decided to kill them.
God.
He claimed to have killed 80 or 90 people this way. At one point, he claimed as many as 110.
Okay.
Wow.
According to Gaskins, he just killed whenever he felt what he referred to as, quote, bothersome feelings.
Oh. Okay.
So, like, any time that, like, I would go get an overpriced coffee,
Right.
he would murder someone.
Right. He'd murder you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, according to
Fucking
Gaskins,
ass.
I already said that. So, however, there's never been any evidence to corroborate these stories about the hitchhiker murders. So, I'll, like, leave it to you to decide whether or not you think he was lying about his body count for clout, which could very well be, or he really did kill dozens of hitchhikers. I think it could go either way.
It really could.
He also could have killed like a dozen hitchhikers and still been like wildly exaggerating and still be one of the most prolific serial killers in U.S. history. Like even if it was way less than what he claimed.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow he was ultimately only tried for one of the murders that he committed. And that was of Dennis Bellamy, the brother with the guns in the woods.
Okay.
And for this, he was found guilty and sentenced to death. I think it was a combination of they only had enough proof of this for this murder.
Mm-hmm.
Although, how could that be? Because there were 8 fucking bodies buried in his backyard. I don't know.
Yeah.
/
He must have cut some kind of deal. I don't know what he did.
Well,
but
we
I don't
also
think
don't
so.
know all the train of evidence and court findings and blah, blah, blah. Like, we don't know.
I think it was maybe just like, all right, he's sentenced to death and
we'll leave it there.
yeah, why waste more of the state's money kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But this sentence was later commuted to life in prison. Again, I don't know how he's catching these breaks.
Mm-hmm.
Then in 1982, in prison, Gaskins killed again.
Mm-hmm.
His victim was a fellow inmate named Rudolph Tyner, who was on death row for a double murder. And it wasn't like a personal beef thing or self-defense or anything. Gaskins had been hired to kill him by the son of one of Tyner's victims.
The fuck?
So, like, Rudolph Tyner had committed a double murder. He had killed a couple who owned a convenience store. And then
their family wanted revenge.
their son wanted revenge and somehow got word in the prison to Gaskins, this other guy on death row, to murder Rudolph.
Oh, yeah. This is very much a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there are like so many bribable prison guards, like getting those messages through. It's not that hard.
Well-
and like violence is so prolific in prisons that it's like, who's gonna fucking get in trouble?
Also, what do you have to
passing
lose?
along that message? Yeah.
Today, as we record this, Whitey Bulger got killed after like fucking 2 hours in prison.
He got killed today?
Oh, yeah, girl. He did.
Mhm.
Oh.
He was, yeah.
That's interesting. I hadn't heard that. I didn't see that today.
Mhm.
He gone.
So I bet you're not going to guess how he killed Rudolph Tyner because again, it's blackout bingo. We got to hit every tile on this
Okay.
bingo
Great.
card.
I'm ready.
Poison?
He's already tried poison.
Okay.
Poison.
He's tried bludgeoning because he beat people to death.
He's stabbed, he's shot, raped, kidnapped, tortured.
Electrocution.
Ooh, that's a good guess.
Well, kind of. I feel like we're on track. So Gaskins made several failed attempts to kill Tyner by poisoning him before he managed, while in a maximum security prison, to get his hands on some C4 plastic explosives.
I was gonna say blow him up, but as a joke.
What's C4?
Like, I never in a million years thought that would be it.
He devised a remote bomb that he told Tyner was a radio that would allow them to communicate between their cells. So he like buddied up to him
Wow.
and was like, "Hey man, I made this radio that we can like talk to each other, blah blah blah. Here, take it, bring it to your room." And then when he was back in his own cell, he fucking blew
It's a
up the
detonator.
device. Yeah.
Wow.
Dying.
I mean, kind of brilliant. like that takes skill. This guy's a fucking psychotic piece of shit, and I hate him, but that is impressive. I am impressed.
So when Tyner placed the device to his ear, Gaskins detonated it, killing him. Gaskins would later boast, quote,
Oh, of course.
"The last thing he heard was me laughing."
Oh my god, that's even worse than I don't know what I expected, but holy shit. That is so gross.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
That's a weird thing to be proud of. I don't
This
know.
guy is completely unhinged.
Mm-hmm. So Gaskins was tried for the murder of Rudolph Tyner because he only gets tried for the times he murders men. And once again, sentenced to death.
Mm-hmm.
This was the first time in South Carolina's history that I'm sorry, Rudolph Tyner was black. I forgot about that. But it was
Okay.
not a racism thing. He was hired to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, he still was also a racist.
Right.
What am I trying to say? You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. That wasn't his motivation.
primary
he was
motivation.
hired to kill him. Yeah.
So, he's sentenced to death, and this was the first time in South Carolina's history that a white man was sentenced to death for the murder of a black man.
Wow.
In what year?
In the 80s.
Oh my god. That's fucking wild.
Mhm.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, South Carolina,
Yeah.
I feel like we forget how racist it has been.
And also, like, this was the situation in
Yeah.
which it took to prosecute a white
Yeah,
man
they-
for a black man's death.
they pretty much had to just be like, well, this is...
We
We
can't
can't.
talk our way out of this one,
Yeah.
boss. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's ridiculous.
So
Ugh.
Pee Wee fucking Gaskins was finally executed by electric chair on September 6th, 1991.
Wow.
He had made an attempt to kill himself earlier that day by slitting his wrist with a razor that he'd smuggled into his own cell by swallowing it.
Wow. That didn't kill him.
I'm
Wow.
assuming he wrapped it in something
Maybe,
to swallow
yeah.
it and then shat it out and then slat
I'd hope.
slat his wrist.
Slat. I'd hope that if he was smart enough to rig up that bomb device, he'd be smart enough to wrap up his swallowed razor.
Like, I guess
But
you could,
I
like,
don't know.
put it in, like, soap or, like, wax or something.
Do what you do for dogs, roll it in cheese.
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter. Shove it into a tree.
An ice cube.
Oh, no. No.
Yeah.
Lucy is not well.
I'm just,
Your face.
no.
No,
Oh, no.
His last words were kind of a womp womp. He said, quote, "I'll let my lawyers talk for me. I'm ready to go."
Okay, bye.
His lawyers were like, yeah, no.
His lawyers were like, what the fuck are we gonna, like,
Mhm.
it's done.
We're also ready.
Pass.
Pass.
Nothing more, Your Honor.
Next.
Nothing more, Your Honor.
Jed Bartlett on the West Wing. What's next?
Nothing more. Those are your official last words. No.
Meow.
No.
Nuh-uh.
Meow.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, meow.
Yeah.
Also, to end on a somewhat lighthearted note, there's apparently
Ow.
an Indonesian punk band named Pee Wee Gaskins that really takes up a lot of the search results. There are photos on the drive.
No.
Also, I hate bands that like name themselves after serial killers.
Yeah, but they are so cute.
But they are
Look at
Indonesian.
how cute they are.
Indonesian punk bands. I will excuse everything.
They might be like
They are
emo
so
punk.
cute.
Like, I don't even know.
They look like a K-pop group.
Oh, they're so
Like
cute.
in that pink picture. They are so
No,
fucking
they're
cute.
so cute.
Yeah, so
Let them live.
Listen. I'm saying nothing.
Yeah, so that is Pee Wee Gaskins. That's my fucking case.
Oh, Shirley, no.
Hazel Brazel.
That was pretty dark.
Yeah, and honestly, there was more. I couldn't get to it. It was just like a list of him raping a lot of other
it's
people.
fine. It's fine. It's fine
Yeah.
that we didn't get to it.
I can't.
Totally fine. I
couldn't do
support
it.
that.
It's fine.
I support that.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Well, this case dominated by Google searches for Unholy Trinity crimes. So, like, fuck
Like
it.
an
Let's
Indonesian
get-
punk band.
Yeah. That's clearly our algorithms
Such as, for
very
example,
different.
Indonesian punk band.
Taking up the first 3 pages of Google.
Yeah,
asshats.
I did not get that, but fuck it. So for this case, we're traveling to Singapore in the 1980s, and a man named Adrian Lim, who touted himself as a psychic medium who could commune with the dead. Adrian was born January 6th, 1942, a Capricorn, to a very poor family. He was known for having a short temper and little patience for school, and he eventually dropped out to work odd jobs. When he was about 20, he found long-term employment as a bill collector, and he married his childhood sweetheart, and they had 2 children together. They converted to Catholicism just before their marriage. Well, I think she was a pretty devout Catholic. He clearly was not, and we're about to get to that.
God.
So in the 70s, Adrian opened up a little side hustle to subsidize his bill collecting work. He rented a room in a crummy apartment building and offered psychic readings and communications with the dead.
They're so
landlord of the-
connected to bill collecting.
So connected.
So
Yeah.
connected.
Yeah.
They're actually
I really
so
like
connected.
When you think about
I actually
it,
like they're like so disconnected that they become connected. Like it's actually kind of amazing when you think about it. So the landlord of the building that he rented a room for to do this weird job worked with him as like somewhat of a pimp / recruiter, bringing in clients who were often vulnerable young women and sex workers or vulnerable elderly women. And then he would get a cut, like a finder's fee.
okay.
The landlord would do this for Lim.
So not a
Adrian Lim.
literal pimp.
No. But in a way, yes, because we're about to get to it. And I don't think that the landlord, didn't know.
Okay.
So Lim called on all manner of spirits for his rituals, but particularly connected with Hindu goddess Kali, the goddess of ultimate power, destruction, and change, NBD. And what could be completely made up, because I Googled it a bunch and couldn't find it, the god Fragan.
There's no Fragan way that's a real god.
I mean, I looked it up, and I don't...
No Fragan way.
No Fragan way. Lim
I'm
explained...
I'm so sorry.
Was a, quote, Siamese sex god. I get it. His words, not mine. So
Fragan good at sex.
It's like, we tap into the goddess of ultimate power, destruction, and change, and fucking really good at sex. Fraggin' good at sex. God, Fraggin'.
He's a friggin' freak.
He's a fraggin'
He's
genius.
a friggin' freak.
Love it.
The second nog is kicking in.
Get that nog, girl. You haven't been able to drink in 10 years. You're going to get drunk off of nothing. It's amazing.
/ I've had more to drink in the last 2 months.
Good girl. But before his charlatan enterprise could take off, he had to convince clients that he was the real deal. So enter his go-to, quote, egg trick. Quote, after blackening needles with soot from a burning candle, Lim carefully inserted them into a raw egg and then sealed the little pinhole with powder. When the needle was hot, it would easily penetrate an egg as the heat softened the shell. In his rituals, he passed the egg several times over his client while chanting, and then asked his client, to crack open the egg and see what was inside. He'd read what was inside to determine her ailments.
I feel like this could be a fun way to create spooky eggnog.
Oh, totally. Unaware that the egg had been tampered with, the client would be convinced by the sight of the black needles, the blackened needles inside the egg, that evil spirits were harassing her.
Oh, I get it. So they didn't see him piercing the egg.
No,
he
would do it
hiding
beforehand.
Needles inside an egg.
Yup. And then filling the little holes with talc.
That tricky bitch.
I know.
Got it.
Clever girl.
Little tricky bitch. Mm-hmm.
So, God, this flying here. Once it was determined that a client, particularly a young and vulnerable one, was being harassed by spirits, Lim would offer his solution: a ritual massage.
Oh, I wonder where this is going.
Oh, yeah. The client would get nude and Lim would rub her down head to toe with a carved idol of the god Fragan, not real, and seal the ritual by having intercourse with her. So he's a rapist. But he was also a torturer. If he wasn't inclined to sexually assault his client, so say they were older or men, he would recommend a crude shock therapy where clients would sit in a chair with their feet in a tub of water, and he would attach live exposed wires to their temples, attached to a car battery, basically, flip a switch and send electric currents through the client, assuring that this would cure headaches and banish evil spirits residing within the body.
Well, one way to cure headaches is to just
kill you,
fry your brain.
Yes, death will relieve your headache.
Yeah, mercury will take care of your syphilis and some other things.
Have you tried colloidal silver?
God.
So his practice took off, and he was visited by a lot of folks wanting to be spiritually healed. One of these clients was a young woman named Tan Mui Chu. Tan worked in a bar and was going through a really tough time in her life, and she had just lost her grandmother who had practically raised her, she was estranged from her parents. Oh. And she was completely distraught, and a coworker of hers recommended she visit Lim and assured her that his methods could cure her woes. So she started to visit with Lim multiple times a week to seek treatments, and she fell in love with him.
How could you resist this guy?
Yeah. Lim was equally infatuated with her and insisted that she move into his apartment. He's married with 2 children.
Come to my side hustle fake medium squat house.
Oh,
babe.
no, not that apartment. The apartment, his home with his wife and children. He wasn't like keeping her quietly in his work apartment. He wanted her to move in with him and his family.
And he made her move into the one with his wife.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
To try to appease his wife, Lim made a vow that he was not having an affair with Tan, and he made it in front of a portrait of Jesus Christ himself to prove his devotion to his wife. But it wouldn't take long for his wife to catch him in the act with Tan, and she moved out and took the kids with her, filing for divorce in 1976.
Thank God.
And yeah, this was honestly the best decision she could have ever made. And this kept her and their children safe from any of his violence or culpability in the crimes that he would later commit.
Oh, okay.
So around this time, his work as a medium really started to take off, so much so that he could leave his full-time job as a bill collector and devote his career entirely to his psychic powers. At the height of his business, he'd be earning up to $3,000 per client. That's like what it would be in US, I think, factoring for inflation. And he had several clients coming through every month.
Jeez.
So he had like consistently
Making,
10 plus clients.
Oh my God.
So he's making a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
A lot. And it's like all cash. So with everything going so well, Lim proposed to his client turned lover, Tan, and they wed in 1977. Their marriage, however, was not a happy or healthy one.
Well, it had such a good start.
Yeah.
Healthy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And his job is manipulating vulnerable people into having sex with him to rid them of spirits.
Right. That's how it should be.
Right.
And
the foundations of a healthy marriage. I love it. So honestly, this could have qualified for the Stockholm Syndrome crimes episode, I think, in a lot of ways, which will become obvious. But Lim quite literally beat Tan into submission and also sexually trafficked her in order to profit off of her.
Because that's love, babe.
Yep. He also manipulated her into working for his business, bringing him clients who he would often have sex with. And I guess in an attempt to like even the playing field with his wife, or I am more prone to think he used this as another tool of manipulation, just an assertion of power. But he assured her that intercourse with younger women kept him healthy and that she should do the same with younger men, which she didn't want to do.
Right.
And he eventually manipulated her into sexual encounters with at least one underage boy and allegedly even with her own younger brother.
Wow. Our cases actually have like a lot of weird similarities.
Overlap. Yeah.
Like the time
I
period.
hate how much overlap you got.
Yeah.
The manipulation,
disgusting.
the like ringleader, the pedophilia, the rape,
Mm-hmm.
the incest.
Yeah.
etc.
So now, not only is this man raping women, he's manipulating his new wife into raping young men and boys.
Wow.
And he also like kind of wedged his way into her family and like trafficked her younger sisters.
So much overlap.
Yeah.
That's
really fucking gross.
It's really gross. And at similar-ish, not similar eras, different eras, but like totally different continents.
No, the 70s and 80s, so very similar era.
Yeah. It's just, that is really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, about 2 years into Tan and Lim's marriage, a client was brought in by a mother seeking treatment for her daughter, a young woman named Lai Ho. Lai Ho was one of 2 daughters and seemed to be the favorite. The younger daughter, Ho Ka, came to the appointment with them, and Lim did his patented egg trick to convince Lai Ho that she was infected with evil spirits, so the older sister. If Lim could treat Lai Ho and rid her of the evil inside of her, surely he could vanquish whatever disgruntled devils resided within Ho Ka as well. The like disgruntled devils that her mother always claims like makes her less likable than her older sister, which real nice and real healthy. Now I'm gonna take you to this like fake shaman who's probably gonna rape you. Enjoy.
To like be an exorcist and the only reason you're cranky is because I treat you like shit and I favor your older sister to begin with.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of that. Anyway, so the mother brought Hoka back for another appointment. Hoka quickly fell under Lim's spell and became a devoted follower. So when he approached her to become one of his, quote, holy wives, she accepted despite already being married to another man.
Unholy Trinity.
Yay.
And now the Trinity is formed. Lim isolated Hoka so completely from her husband and family that she was convinced they were vile, immoral people and left her husband and family to move in with Lim and Tan, completing the Unholy Trinity.
Look at how did you find a case so perfect for this topic?
Because there is a book entitled Unholy Trinity about this guy.
Wow.
And
you
that
just
took up
Googled
like
Unholy Trinity?
I literally did. I literally Googled like Unholy Trinity crime or Unholy Trinity murder. And this came up.
I Googled.
And I was like, oh, is this real? And then there you go.
I Googled murderer trio and
Ooh, I
found
like
the
that.
trouble trio. And then that was like one tiny aspect of my case, but I was in it.
Worked for me.
I
That's
Googled
perfect.
lyrics to 'Twas the Night Before Christmas.
That was like my favorite
Third eye
thing in
blind.
the world. It made me cry. So you're amazing.
I'll read it again at the
So-
end if you want.
You can read it to me in a voice memo that I can keep, and then I can read it to myself every night leading up to Christmas.
Perfect.
Okay, great. We'll take care of that. So Hoka's husband went to Lim's house to try and figure out A, what the fuck is going on, and B, how to get his wife back. So while he was there, he was convinced to stick around and observe her treatments, quote unquote, and eventually was himself persuaded to undergo shock therapy to rid himself of his demons in a sort of like couples therapy with Hoka.
Couples shock therapy in a bathtub.
Yep.
How are some
So on-
people such
Never
smooth talkers?
doesn't work.
I
It's-
don't.
Yeah,
Some people are just
I know.
really
I know.
good manipulators.
Mhm.
People are really good manipulators, and you know, this is a different like cultural environment from ours, and so that kind of spiritual healing and spiritual wellness and connection are held at a much higher value than they are in Western society.
Well, yeah.
And so certain cultures are also a little bit more vulnerable to like a very specific charlatan like this one. You know, it's just like
Well, charlatans,
also so wild.
con men,
they're gonna lean into whatever
whatever they can.
susceptibility they have in their environment.
Also, I will say, regardless of what we think, like Western medicine, this works, this doesn't work.
Right.
Like, we're going to, like, 20 years from now, we're going to be mystified about the things that we think worked
Right.
and didn't work. And
This,
yeah.
you know.
this doesn't work. I'm just gonna.
Well, no, this specifically doesn't
I'm just
work.
saying.
I know.
We're not like
I know.
You know what
shitting
I'm
on
saying.
spirituality or like, you know, spiritual healing. That's not my issue.
I'm just
at
saying
all with any
spiritual
of
or
this.
just like, oh, like, you know, 20 years ago, we didn't think that women smoking cigarettes while they were pregnant was an
Was
issue.
a problem. Yeah.
Like,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're always gonna learn new amazing feats of
well,
medicine.
I'm just gonna hold out hope for the bathtub electrocution.
Oh no.
Phase
That's just
of
that's just a
medicine.
bad idea. So Hoka and her husband sat in two separate chairs,
Fingers
facing each
crossed.
other. Okay, I'm gonna get to some dark stuff now, so let's just tone it down, ladies.
Yeah.
Facing each other and like locking arms, both with their feet in their own basins of water. Lim then applied the wires to the husband's temples, sending a deadly electric shock through him that also passed through Hoka and shocked her unconscious but did not kill her.
This is horrific.
This is
Yep.
This is like the old people in the Notebook, but being murdered.
But the dark side. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hoka awoke holding her now dead husband, and Lim instructed her to tell the police that he had died in an accident due to faulty wiring, like he was going to plant his body somewhere. And so that's what they did, and the cops didn't look into it any further.
Oh,
Wow.
I don't like that.
No, it's bad. It's very bad.
No, bring him back.
So in the aftermath, no, I can't. He's gone. I'm
He'll
so
come back
sorry.
to something
That's
dark
so
and unnatural.
sad.
Oh, I don't want. No,
God willing.
don't you dare
You know what?
use
You know
practical
what?
magic on us.
All
don't
right.
you do
All
it.
right.
Don't you
I'll
start
accept it.
tanning me. Mm-mm.
How
You
dark.
don't you dare.
He already is dark and unnatural.
Natural.
How unnatural.
Right. So, in the aftermath of this event, Hoka would be so mentally disturbed by this, because the trauma, my
The
God.
guilt, too.
Yeah. That she was actually checked into a psychiatric hospital for treatments, and while away from Lim and in the care of psych professionals, she improved significantly and even reconnected with her estranged family. But after leaving the hospital, she moved back in with Lim, and things continued on much the same as they had before.
Oh, no, she relapsed.
Yep. So Lim took his spiritual practices to the next level, possibly emboldened by Lonyak's murder, and that's
The husband.
Hoka's husband, by electrocution. He decided that the next step is to offer blood sacrifices to the gods who used him as a conduit to the spirit world. And I'm not sure how he chose his victims, and we will kind of get to that, and we'll get to the, alleged quote unquote reason that he started doing this. It's completely unhinged, but for now, I'll just tell you what happened.
He's on a roll now. He's cruising.
Yeah. So he zeroed in on 9-year-old Agnes Eng, who attended a nearby church called Church of the Risen Christ. One Sunday after church, Lim abducted her from the street and brought her back to his home. While there, she was injected with a sedative, sexually assaulted, and strangled to death. The only silver lining here, I'm hoping, is that she was sedated. So I am just praying so fucking hard that she just did not feel anything the entire time. But there's really no way to know. But like,
She was conscious
to sleep at
for
night.
being kidnapped. So
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah, her last experiences were fear. And
9
That's-
years old.
yeah, it's fucking tragic. They then stuffed her body into a leather duffel bag and left it out on the sidewalk away from their home, but like not super far away.
He still got the 2 ladies.
Yes. And they all, like, they helped with the
All
kidnapping
of it.
because, like, yeah, like, oh, we're just women. They would be like, oh, can you help me with something over here? And they'd be like, oh, okay, you know. Like, it's just so sad. So they leave her in a duffel bag several blocks away, and she was discovered on January 25th, 1981 by a 25-year-old dude just coming home from the movies. So this gets sicker, though, because as if killing this child wasn't enough, the wives, Tan and Hoka, would call poor Agnes's mother and threaten to abduct and, quote, chop up her other young daughters. She had, like, 9 kids.
So
They would harass
he,
her.
selected her so they knew this kid's identity so that they could then essentially torture the parents.
Possibly for this one.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nuts. They did not carry out this plan, thank God. And despite threatening phone calls, there was very little evidence to connect Lim and his wives to Agnes's death. And the case remained open with no leads. 2 weeks later, 10-year-old Ghazali Marzuki was found dead, laid in a patch of grass mere blocks from Lim's home. He had been abducted by Hoka from a local playground where he had been playing with his cousins while, like, his grandmother was watching him.
Oh my God.
And a bunch of the kids. Yeah. Similarly to Agnes, Ghazali was taken back to Lim's home, drugged, strangled, and eventually drowned. 3 burn marks were also discovered on his back. A coroner report later determined that those were post-mortem. And they may have tried to, like, use the shock therapy thing on him, maybe to try to revive him. I don't know, but like, or just fuck with him. I have no idea why they would do that. There was also a puncture to his arm, which is presumed to be the spot where like either blood was taken or sedative was administered by injection, because he had like done that before.
I know that like there's no logic to this, but like there's like no motivation other than just like
None.
being fucked up.
Yep. He has, and when you get to his reasoning behind this plan, it's like so unhinged that I don't.
So, in his brain, he has like.
Things are not firing properly. Like, I don't know where the fuck he's making these plans and thinking that this is gonna work. I think he gets so bogged down in his own delusion that he starts to believe his own bullshit, and it just goes completely off the rails. So, but unlike the lack of evidence in Agnes's case, this situation had a literal trail leading investigators to the scene of the crime. So the Unholy Trinity had dragged this poor sweet boy around the block to dispose of him, and unbeknownst to them, this left a trail of blood leading all the way back to Lim's front door.
A trail of blood to his door. Oh my God.
Yeah. They hadn't noticed that there was blood dripping from Ghazali's nose.
It's never a nosebleed, except when it is.
I know. Except when it is. And yeah. I believe that, like, I truly believe that Ghazali's heroic spirit, like, left behind these breadcrumbs that weren't, like, a super obvious streak.
Yeah.
Like, they were subtle enough to be missed by the perpetrators.
But obvious enough to be picked up on.
Obvious enough to be looked for by forensics, and this, like, kept other children from suffering the same fate that he and Agnes did. Like, I believe that in my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. So upon entering Lim's home, investigators felt uneasy. They described the creepy apartment as being lit in dim amber-colored light. It's honestly like kind of Lucy's dream apartment. Dim amber-colored light, and the first thing you see upon entering is a massive altar to multiple gods.
A curious cabinet.
You know what? I love it.
Yep. A lot of tchotchkes.
No
There's
notes.
pictures on the drive. Yeah, no notes. The religious artifacts seem to be all over the place. Some connected to Catholicism, some Hindu, some Chinese idols, and many of these religious totems were smeared with blood. Blood was found in his kitchen and on a pair of slippers and some of his clothing in his apartment. Though we didn't have the same forensic capabilities in 1981 that we have now, some rudimentary forensics could pretty closely match hair and blood type from Ghazali to the blood found at the scene.
Wow.
They also found bottles of pills that matched what had been in both Agnes and Ghazali's systems, and syringes with blood still lingering inside.
Wow.
There's also a photo on the drive of really weird items collected from the apartment. Go look at it. It will be on the blog. And I want to draw your attention to unknown item, which looks like a pail of ground beef.
Ah!
Which freaks me the fuck out. Unknown item is the most disturbing thing I have ever seen.
What does it look like? It looks like
a box of ketchup or a bad meatloaf.
Yeah, it does. It looks like bad meatloaf with like a marinara sauce topping.
But he's also got nunchucks, a tiger tooth.
Yep.
Like,
I don't like it.
A pacifier? What? I can't. I'm
A
particularly
literal
curious.
red flag.
A literal red flag, labeled red flag. Strands of hair tied around rubber tube.
Oh my. Yep.
It's very weird. It's very fucking
Bundle
weird.
of
Anyway.
tag yourself.
Yeah,
Bundle
tag
of
yourself.
charms.
I'm unknown object. Hands down. Anyway, all three are arrested on murder charges.
I
They're
love
like,
how
okay,
it says
literal
items
trail.
not to scale.
Yeah, I know. It's like fucking obviously. There's nunchucks in here next to a tiny pacifier. So, why the fuck did he murder two children? Well, one of his victims came forward to testify at trial, and her story is wild. She stated that she almost met the same fate as these children when in October of 1980, she met Lim and his wife Tan while selling beauty products, like door to door.
Mary Kay or whatever.
He convinced her that she was haunted by spirits and he could exorcise those spirits in a series of rituals. She declined. He persisted, inviting her to sit down, have a glass of milk. I'll tell you more about it.
That's a red flag as I drink my glass of nog.
Yep. So he had mixed crushed sedative pills into the milk, and she felt those effects soon after drinking it. While she was unconscious, Lim sexually assaulted her. He continued this cycle with her while holding her captive for like 2 weeks.
Oh, no. God.
She eventually got away and went to the police. This is before the murders, reporting Lim for the rape and kidnapping. He was arrested along with his wife Tan for being an accomplice to the assaults. While they were out on bail, Lim had the fucked up idea to distract the police from looking into him for these rapes with a series of child murders. He also believed that the murders would serve as blood sacrifices to the goddess Kali, which would persuade her to intervene and draw the attention of the police away from him and his holy wives.
Yeah, you're right. That is a completely unhinged plan. I want to distract them from my bad crime by committing
a worse crime.
Yeah, even more really awful crimes.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he even went as far as pretending to be possessed by this goddess to convince Tan and Hoka to assist him with this plan. And he actually lured several children to his apartment who survived by various miracles, like one being too skinny, quote, and another because, quote, the gods didn't want her, and another simply because someone had seen her enter his apartment and he didn't want to get caught.
Oh my God.
So this just adds like a whole new level of terror to this story. He's randomly selecting children specifically. And like the randomness is scary enough. And then the completely arbitrary rules around who is going to be sacrificed and who's going to die.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's so scary.
Imagine being one of the kids that like
got away.
Went there, but then,
the survivor's guilt. I mean, there are a lot of horrible things connected to this crime. So all three were evaluated by psychiatric professionals and deemed competent to stand trial, and also deemed like competent at the time that the crimes were committed. Their defense continued to push, quote, mental disturbance, but the prosecution countered that by focusing on the calculating manner in which the children were abducted and killed, and how unlikely it was for three different people to share the same mental disturbance that can lead to a shared delusion of this magnitude.
Yeah.
So like even if Hoka and Tan were, because they were trafficked, they were manipulated, they were broken down, they were basically brainwashed. And I do believe that. He knew what the fuck he was doing. And so I don't necessarily think the women's sentences were fair. I think that they would have been better served just like being in prison or some kind of institution for the remainder of their days. But all three of them were sentenced to death. They were found guilty. Like a huge crowd of people gathered to hear the verdict. It's May 25th, 1983. There's pictures on the drive of like the masses of people. And all three were found guilty and sentenced to death by hanging. So, quote, on the 25th of November, 1988, the trio were given their last meals and led to the hangman's noose. Lim smiled throughout his last walk. After the sentences were carried out, the three murderers were given a short Catholic funeral mass by Father Doro and cremated on the same day.
Bye-bye.
Yep. And that is my case. Yeah. We both went for it.
That is an unholy trinity.
Don't
absolutely nailed the topic.
Thank you so much. I understood the assignment.
Did.
Wow.
Unknown item.
Wow. Well, thank you so much to listener Satan's mom.
Satan's butthole
has got it going on.
For this topic suggestion. And
Fuck
thank you.
Satan's mom.
Yeah.
And thank all of you for listening to us for 300 plus fucking episodes.
And thank you
Oh my
for
God, it's so many
submitting your
episodes.
ideas because
Yes, we loved them.
We got a lot.
we got if you submitted ideas on Patreon, we will probably use your idea at another point in time as a Gals pick.
They've been
Absolutely.
lagged.
They've been lagged, and now I'm gonna go slag on some more nag. And thank you all.
Thank you so much for 300
Everything.
episodes.
300
I'm so
episodes.
excited.
And happy
Cheers to you all.
holidays.
We love you so much. We'll
And
see
Happy
you
New
next
Year.
week. Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna see you.
Bye-bye.
We won't see you next week.
After the new
We're
year.
gonna see you in 2023.
I think
Oh
I
my
said see
God.
you next year. Bye.
You said week,
See you
but
next
your works love you.
Tuesday. Bye.